Yes, so my people, I greet the house, so I greet everybody. We know, as we all they see for this few days now, we they see this issue of MOWA when we say they go on for our state. Because now everybody now they come out, they can't explain what they know or how it beat them for this MOWA. But well, without wasting much of your time, I go leave una now. Make una watch the interview when this our brother when he do that is the ex-commissioner when he work under Godwin Obaseki, that is Mr. Ogbede Ifaloyi, that is one of the ex-commissioner when he work under Godwin Obaseki. I go leave you now, make you watch the interview when he do for Arise Television, because this man na one of the person wey be say e dey vocal when e dey try to dey explain to our people. But for some people when e wan lis ten to am, dem always still want make dem hear or make dem understand wetin e go talk. I go advise you make you watch this video, make you lis ten to am, because at least they say na experience na be teacher. Then you go get little words from wetin e go talk for here when e go be say e go be favour for you. Make all of us make we sit down together, make we watch wetin our brother the ex-commissioner Mr. Ogbede Ifaloyi wetin he wan talk for here. And maybe as we talk finish, we go fit still come back for here come thank una when you watch this video. Thank you and happy viewing.
Event at the Museum of West African Art in Benin City, attended by investors, artists and foreign diplomats, descending into panic and forced to shut down after angry protesters stormed the venue. Videos showed a group insulting foreign guests and ordering them to leave after entering the grounds of the Museum of West African Art, or MOWAA, in Benin City on Sunday. The protesters were angry that the museum was not called the Benin Royal Museum and was not under the control of the Oba of Benin. The guests had to be evacuated under tight security. Hours later, it emerged that the governor of Edo State, Monday Okpebholo, has revoked the land title granted to the museum by the administration of the former governor, Godwin Obaseki. So what should have been a celebration of the proud art and culture of the people of Benin in an institution that was poised to give Nigeria global significance has now degenerated into a political dispute between the previous and current state administrations. So how has it come to this? Rita Osakwe has this report.
Protests hit Benin City over the weekend as controversy over a new museum escalated. At the heart of the controversy is the Museum of West African Art, or MOWAA, a multi-million-dollar project conceived by former Governor Godwin Obaseki. It was birthed in part as a home for the Benin bronzes, but a dispute over ownership quickly ensued between Governor Obaseki and the Oba of Benin, Edo State's traditional ruler. This video shows a group of protesters ordering foreign guests who had traveled to the city for the museum's first exhibition to leave its grounds. They say the museum should be under the control of the Oba. The Oba sees the museum as a hijacking of a local project, the Benin Royal Museum. However, in a press statement, MOWAA emphasized that it has never claimed title to the Benin bronzes and has never presented itself as the Benin Royal Museum in order to secure funding. It said it serves a wider purpose beyond Nigeria, to broaden the scope of West African art, research, and conservation. A delegation of foreign diplomats visited the governor and the Oba on Monday in an attempt to douse tensions. The governor has since revoked the museum's land title, criticizing what he called the lack of transparency from the previous government. What was hailed as a significant contribution to Benin's economic and cultural development has now devolved into a political squabble. And with no official date for its opening, and now no land title, the future of the Museum of West African Art remains in question.
Rita Osakwe reporting there. Well, for the opposition PDP's perspective, I'm joined now in the studio by the organizing secretary of the PDP in Edo State, Obede Ifaluyi Isibo, who's also the former Edo State Commissioner for Digital Economy, Science and Technology. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Charles. Good evening.
So, an institution that was supposed to foster innovation and collaboration, elevate the legacy of West African art, but now it's stuck in the mud, in the full glare of the international community. I mean, this is not good optics for Edo State or for Nigeria, for that matter, is it?
Not at all. And it is very embarrassing. It was shocking to Nigerians that such a lofty idea that was supposed to elevate the Benin Kingdom and paint us in the light that we deserve to be painted was tarnished by a set of hooligans, we'll call them, who perpetrated such barbarism to bring embarrassment to the Benin Kingdom and to the Nigerian people. And just to make a quick correction, there is no dispute between the former Governor Godwin Obaseki and the Oba of Benin. The Oba of Benin is the father of all, and we cannot have disputes with our king. And second of all, at the beginning of your reporting, you said that the protesters who were loyal to the Oba of Benin, that information we did not have. The Oba of Benin...
Well, that's the information that we have.
Oh, yes, but so the Oba of Benin cannot be behind hoodlums acting like street urchins.
It may not have been him who told them to go and attack, but they were doing it in the name of the royal palace.
I think it was just poor education and poor exposure, and it had really nothing to do with the Oba of Benin. We are suspecting that the government, the APC government, had a hand in that, because when it comes to civility, that's what the Oba is known for. But when it comes to barbarism, that's what the APC is known for. So we want to condemn in very strong terms what happened 2 days ago at the Museum for West African Arts, where derelicts and mental hobos invaded the Museum for West African Arts, terrorizing our guests who had come from all around the world to enjoy the splendor of West African arts in the Benin Kingdom. And it was an embarrassment of gigantic proportions, because the entire world is laughing at us, making mockery of us, because Benin Kingdom was always known to be a strong, virile kingdom with decent people, of a kingdom of warriors who had defeated nations in the past. How come these few misguided individuals have reduced the image of the Benin Kingdom to such disrepute? And we must condemn it as a people and as a nation.
Indeed, and in furtherance of the point you're making, and obviously the way that you feel about it, which we can all see, Nigeria's Tourism, Art and Culture Minister Hannatu Musawa said that the disruption at MOWAA not only endangers a treasured cultural asset, but also threatens the peaceful environment necessary for cultural exchange and the preservation of Nigeria's artistic patrimony. Obviously, she's speaking in the context of the Nigerian government's attempt to consolidate this country's place as an African cultural superpower.
Exactly what it is.
How do you interpret what she had to say? Are you encouraged by that?
Well, I share her views, and that's the view of many decent Nigerians who felt very upset that such foolishness, if you allow me, could be perpetrated in the Benin Kingdom. And we hold the government responsible for this, because when ambassadors visit a state, it is the responsibility of the state to ensure that they are protected. The ambassadors had notified the governor weeks and months before that they were coming. How can it be the governor could tell the people, could, in my opinion, lie to the people that he did not know that the ambassadors were coming? These ambassadors are international figures. They're not members of the PDP that you will say, oh, that you want to play petty, primitive politics with. I want to appeal to the governor to rise above this pettiness. Let us reduce this lack of hygiene in our politics so that the Edo people can enjoy real governance, because that's what it should be about.
But how has it come to this?
I think it's poor politics, if you ask me. I think the genuine issues which I really want to address, and to stop the peddling of wrong information that has permeated the hearts of many people, is that the Museum for West African Arts ought to be the Benin Royal Museum. That is not true. Those are two
Yeah, but
mutually...
where is
yes.
that coming from? Where is that? You're saying that some people are saying it ought to be.
Okay, yes.
Is that coming from the palace? Because that's the impression that we have.
Let me give you a little history of how it all happened.
Yeah, briefly.
Yes. You know, the artifacts were returned in November of 2021. The French government...
The cockerel,
yes,
the bust.
Yes, they returned 26 treasures.
Right.
In June or in July of 2022, the Germans returned 1,130 bronzes, artifacts, to the Benin Kingdom. And earlier this year, in June of 2025, the Dutch returned about 130 artifacts. So the idea was that the Benin Royal Museum should be built to house the artifacts, specifically for the returned artifacts. That was the idea behind the Oba of Benin, in his wisdom, suggesting that the Benin Royal Museum be built. And in fairness to that wish,
but,
the government
but obviously the Benin Royal Museum is different from the Museum of West African Art.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The name alone should suggest to anyone that has, can understand that the Museum for West African Arts is to showcase West African art. While the Benin Royal Museum was specifically to showcase the return artifacts. How anyone could mistake the two is really preposterous.
But was there an element of competitiveness there? Because obviously, if the two of them are in the same location, that could promote some kind of competition, couldn't it?
No, and we will welcome such a competition. We want to have 20 museums in Benin. Benin Kingdom, like any other civilization anywhere in the world, is celebrated for our rich cultural heritage. So yes, if we have, and we want to have the Benin Royal Museum, because if our king wants to have it, and we find faith in his wish for us to have that, we also welcome, support, like the Museum for West African Arts, that will also be like a support base for other museums on the West African region.
But was there an issue about the Museum of West African Art in preference to the Royal Museum housing those Benin bronzes, those stolen artifacts that were returned?
I think that is a narrative that is wrong, that has been peddled, because it is suggesting that, instead of building the Museum for West African Arts, instead we're having to focus on the museum, instead of building the Benin Royal Museum, we're having to focus on the Museum for West African Arts.
And they're raising a lot of money.
Yeah, but this is the difference. The Benin Royal Museum was to be built by the Edo State government. It was to be a government project. And that is why in 2019, the Edo State government had budgeted 500 million naira for the construction of the Benin Royal Museum. And at the time, the federal government had also given a grant of 2.5 billion naira for the same purpose. So that was completely different. What happened with MOWAA was that the Mellon Foundation, the Ford Foundation, international community, and even
the Germans, the French governments,
and a lot
of
of private individuals thought that, okay, we can situate this museum in Benin owing to this historical record, but let it be for a wider West African population. And what you had on display on the day of this attack was a display of exhibitions of Nigerian, Ghanaian, Togolese curators, and archaeologists. And people, we were having to understand the beauty of West African arts,
Well, I mean, from our own perspective, because obviously we're not from Edo State, or we're not there, we're simply looking from the outside in. I mean, in 2023, the outgoing president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, very controversially decreed that the Oba of Benin is the rightful owner and custodian of all the Benin bronzes and the stolen artifacts from Benin, which led the University of Cambridge to delay the planned return of 116 artifacts. So I didn't think they didn't think that the environment was right for keeping those things. I mean, how did MOWAA get entangled in all of that? I'm not quite sure what happened.
Well, I did a little study, and I realized that wherever artifacts have been returned, this is not the first time. It is government to government, because it is a reparation of some sort, in recognition of historical misdeeds. To say, yes, we own these artifacts, but because we recognize that you were unfairly treated, we are doing a deed of transfer, a transfer of ownership to the government. So it's a government-to-government thing. It has never been in the history of returning of artifacts, where artifacts are returned to individuals, or in this case, Obas. It has always been government. And so when the Nigerian government accepted the return of these artifacts, the Oba of Benin, rightly so, felt that since they were taken from the palace, they should be returned to the palace. But that was not even in contention. The Benin people and even the government at the time had submitted themselves, to the wish of the king. So the argument now was, or the argument now is, how did MOWA get involved with this? I think it was just circumstantial, having that to see that artifacts are being returned, and at the same time, we're having to have people putting funds together to build a museum for West African
but there
arts.
are reports and suspicions, let me put it that way, from people in Edo State who believe that the MOWA used the Benin bronzes, the stolen artifacts, as a selling point, as a way to raise money from foreigners to say, look, we're going to house the Benin bronzes as well as a lot of other things, so we need to build a state-of-the-art sort of thing here, and we need money from you. I mean, that's part of the controversy, isn't it?
The suspicion is being peddled by the government, but that is a lie. That is false. MOWA has come out to say it, and even yesterday, when the EU ambassador met with the governor, he told him expressly clear that all the monies donated to MOWA were given to MOWA for the purpose of MOWA, and not for the Benin Royal Museum. And so let us even situate this. Whenever there's been a return of artifacts, like I said, there's never been a compensation or a payment for the return of artifacts. It has never happened anywhere in the world. I was doing a little study, and when the French returned artifacts to Ghana in 2021 or 2022, some money was given as a cultural cooperation kind of money. It wasn't a payment, or it wasn't a compensation. So the idea that, the artifacts should have come with money is misguided, because even in the agreements between the Germans and the Nigerian government, it was clearly stated that there was no financial compensation to be made.
So from what you're saying, can we glean from it that a lot of this has to do with money? Because I understand the Museum of West African Art has raised millions of dollars internationally. I mean, we read somewhere, I don't know, 30-something million dollars or more, especially from the French and German governments.
Well, I'm thinking it's having more to do with petty politics, because I am acutely aware that this whole controversy didn't have to get to this extent, but because we're having to play politics, and the APC is taking advantage of the little misgivings that the palace may have with this project to amplify their gains, and that is shameful, that we're having to drag the palace into politics just because of
but I mean, is it a failure as well on the part of the previous government of Governor Obaseki, your government, not to have seen this coming? I mean, didn't you read the tea leaves to see that the controversy was deepening and evolving into something of a crisis?
Charles, I totally agree with you, and I think we will take the L for that and deal with the consequences. We should have, on a sustained basis, informed and educated the Edo people to let them know that this is the truth of what is happening. What happened was that misinformation was peddled for too long, and now impressions were already created, and now has snowballed into this controversy, and now we're having to correct the misinformation. But I think it has to be said that the Museum for West African Arts and the Benin Royal Museum are not the same. Never has MOWA had in its possession the returned artifacts. They do not have any intentions to have the artifacts. The artifacts are solely in the possession of the Oba of Benin, and he does to it whatever he wishes.
But I mean, if you read a lot of what is being written about this now in sort of the mainstream newspapers and beyond, I mean, there is a sense that this was always about the rivalry between Edo State's former and current governors, that they belong to different political parties, the PDP, your party, the APC, the current administration in Edo State, and that rivalry meant that none of the bronzes were ever going to be on public display at MOWA, whatever the circumstances.
Well, I think about the public display of the returned artifacts, that is an exclusive decision of the Oba of Benin. It has nothing to do with the APC government or the PDP government, because the president at the time had gazetted that all the returned artifacts should be in his possession. Yeah. So I don't think that is the issue at all. There are artifacts in MOWA. There are artifacts from Ghana and Togo and Mali, in MOWA. So MOWA is, like I've always tried to explain, has no dealings with the artifacts.
Yeah, but you know,
returned.
MOWA is a very sophisticated museum. I mean, it's world standard.
Yes,
it's
sir.
global standard, and it's got state-of-the-art facilities. And the Oba of Benin at present does not have those kinds of facilities to store those things. I mean, why could they not have worked out, or at least the government, your government, I mean the previous government, which left, not too long ago, office, why could they not have worked out an arrangement where some of the Oba's priceless art would be housed and exhibited in that place, at least some of them, temporarily? You can hold exhibitions, you can do all kinds, so that it's not this kind of friction-driven relationship.
I totally share that view too, and I think that is not too late. We want to have that. We want to have the return artifacts being celebrated, and if I could appeal, I want that to happen in the future. So as we're having these conversations now, I'm suggesting that we can have a cross-pollination of ideas. We can have a handshake between the Benin Royal Museum and the Museum for West African Art. And again, to the information that was put out by the Oba's daughter a few months ago, that the Oba Kenswa Cultural Center, which was built many years ago by the military administration, right opposite the Oba's Palace, will be converted to the Benin Royal Museum. That was a letter she was reading to the Netherlands when it came to return artifacts from her father. And so the impression we had was that that property was going to be converted to the Benin Royal Museum. And now that there's a different government who has better handshake, if you allow me, with the palace, I think that's what we should focus on too, so that we can have a win-win situation for everybody.
Right, but of course the controversy surrounding MOWA, the Museum of West African Art, has now deepened even further, with reports that the governor of Edo State, Monday Bebele, has revoked the land title granted to the museum by your administration. Is this, you're saying that this is not a politically motivated and vengeful move, as some suggest, or you see it as a reasonable thing for Governor Bebele to do in the circumstances?
See, since Governor Bebele
and are we clear that he's actually revoked the land?
Well, since Governor Bebele came into office, there has been a sustained and continuous attack on all that Governor Obaseki built. If it's from the Oshomo Power, it's the Radisson Hotel, to MOWA, to the Specialist Hospital. In fact, the man has been so jealous of all that the PDP built, and his target for the first 1 year was to destroy it. That has been the game plan. And so he's only acting the script. But the Edo people are standing up, and we're not going to allow him to do that. Yes, he has the powers to revoke MOWA, but what we're saying, MOWA has the capacity or the propensity to have employed 25,000 jobs directly and indirectly. You cannot, for the life of me, revoke that land and put that number of Edo people in jeopardy just for petty politics. Governor Obaseki has come, he lived, he ran the state well, and he has gone. You do your part. You will not be able to outclass him. You do not have the capacity, to do what he has done, in the last 8 years. So why don't you do the best you can and let the Edo people be the ones to judge? We want to appeal. I want to appeal to the governor. I hold the office of the governor in very high respect. I want him to ascend above this mundane level of politics. Let us pretend to be civilized people, even if that is alien to the APC. Let us focus on development of the Edo economy. It's been 365 wasted days that he's been in office, and they do not have anything to show for the over 200 billion naira they have received so far from the federal government or from IJR. It's been from one waste to one party to some madness that's going on in the state. And we are saying, put aside this politics. You are not Godwin Obaseki. You cannot be like him. Do the best you can.
Right.
If you're going to buy vehicles like he's doing now, buy vehicles, and in the next 4 years, get out of the way and let someone come in.
Well, in the interest of balance, as we always do here on Arise News, the Edo State government has a right of reply, and they're perfectly within their rights to request that right of reply and come on this program and respond.
Again,
we've got less than a minute to go. What happens next? Where do things go from here?
Okay, I was reading, in a publication that the federal government has waded in. And I want to appeal to Mr. President to please look at this issue holistically. Let us consider the millions of Edo people that are involved. Let us also consider the number of jobs MOWA was going to bring to provide, economic stability, if you allow me, for Edo State. Let us put aside the politics. Let us focus on development of the Edo people and the Edo economy. Now that he's focused on solving the problem, let us solve the problem.
Right.
We are already suffering from bad reputation
Okay.
from Donald Trump. And now we're having to go into a mess with the EU. We can't afford that now.
Right. Well, let's just say that we're hearing reports, those reports you mentioned, that President Tinubu is asking for an investigation or ordering an investigation into what is happening there. If those reports are confirmed, then that would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
Yes, it will be.
Okay. Obede Ifaliyi Isibo, thank you very much indeed. He is the organizing secretary of the PDP in Edo State, and he is the former Edo State Commissioner for Digital Economy, Science and Technology. Thank you for coming in.
I hope you don't watch the video now. Well, for me now, I go advise you, waiting you see or waiting you understand for all waiting you talk now. If you get anything to say, make you drop am for the comment section. I go still advise you, if today is your first time of seeing our video, why not like our page? Why not share and just join us? It is just free. Thank you all for watching. See you in our next video. Bye bye for now.